Howdy folks, Dave here at Thunder Mesa Studio on this Workbench Wednesday. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are and whenever you happen to be watching this. You know, I was recently asked a question at one of the open studios that we have here, and it was a really, really good question, a really hard question for me to answer. Someone asked which of the structures on either Thunder Mesa or Bandit Canyon or Gruesome Gulch, which one was my favorite? The favorite one of all time. Like, oh my goodness, that's like asking me to pick one of my kids. You know, we were having a discussion about structure building and how that was my favorite part of the hobby, and that's how it came up. They said, okay, well, which one is your favorite? And at first I think I gave an answer like, oh, you know, whichever one I finished most recently, because that's what I usually say. Well, this one is the one I finished just, last week. That's my favorite. But then they put the question in another way, which really made me think about it. They said, okay, what if the building was on fire and you could only grab one thing, one structure, and run out with that? Which one would it be? And that actually made it really easy. My favorite one of all time is actually the Thunder Mesa Depot. I built the Thunder Mesa Depot several years ago, actually before I really started doing videos regularly. So I'm going to try to make up for that a little bit today and describe the process and how it all came together and why it is still my favorite after all this time. But before we get too deep into that, I need to tell you that this is actually the second Thunder Mesa Depot. The first one is now over in Rainbow Ridge. This is the original Thunder Mesa Depot, and as you can see, it's quite small. This one was completely scratch built for the original 3 by 6 foot Thunder Mesa layout back when it was a kind of a mini layout. And I was going for something that, evoked that Disney look without exactly copying a Disney depot. There's lots of gingerbread and Victorian detailing on it. I'm still very pleased with this structure, and I think it works great over here in Rainbow Ridge. But unlike the original Thunder Mesa Depot, which was scratch built, the one that's over there now, the one that's my favorite, actually started out as a kit. It was an O-scale kit from Scale Structures Ltd. Of Ward Kimball's Grizzly Flats Station. Now, if you're not familiar with the history of this station, that's a rabbit hole you can really go down. There's a lot of interesting tidbits about it. Long story short, Ward Kimball was a Disney animator, worked at the studio for many years, famous, eclectic, eccentric, wonderful human being, creator of Jiminy Cricket, among many other things. And he had a private 3-foot gauge railroad in his backyard in Southern California. He had 2 full-scale steam locomotives, which he restored, and he had an engine house, a fire station, a depot, a water tower. The depot was originally a movie set. It came from a film called So Dear to My Heart that Ward was an art director on, and he actually chose the plans for this depot, and they built it on set. So when filming concluded, as the story goes, Walt Disney offered to just give Ward Kimball the set of the depot. And it was just a set too. It wasn't a full building. It wasn't a real building. It was just 3 walls and part of a roof. That's all there was. And Ward took him up on it and moved it out to his place and set it beside the tracks. And over the years, he and his wife Betty built it out into a real structure, finished it, and completely finished the interior, filled it with railroad yana and antiques and stuff like that. And that became the Grizzly Flats Depot. Fast forward to 1954-55, and Walt Disney was building Disneyland. And the story goes, he asked Ward for the depot back. He said, oh, you did a really nice job building this into a real structure. We need a depot in Frontierland for the Disneyland Railroad, Santa Fe Disneyland Railroad. Can we have it back? And Ward said, no way. He put all this work into all this time. He was keeping it. He was not giving it back to Walt Disney. So they went back to the original plans. They altered them a little bit and built basically a replica of the Grizzly Flats Depot in Frontierland. So when I got a hold of this kit, I thought, I could build a version that's kind of a hybrid between Ward's Grizzly Flat Station, because there are some differences in the details, and only a total nerd like me, a structure nerd, would notice some of the windows are a little higher. There's doors are in different places, things like that. Now, at about this same time, I learned that my friend Jake Johnson, a former Disney Imagineer, had designed a set of parts for the Grizzly Flats Depot for a client to actually replace the cardboard cutout parts that came in the kit. I should back up and tell you that this Scale Structures Ltd kit was notoriously a nightmare to put together. It was a very difficult kit to build. This is why you can still find so many of them on resale sites like eBay today, because people bought them, opened the box, took one look at the instructions and said, nope. And so they've been sitting in attics and in closets and on shelves for decades. You can still find them. They were made by Scale Structures and Milepost Model Works. You can still find them out there. Just, do a quick internet search for Grizzly Flats Depot, and there's chances are you'll find one for sale out there. Anyway, me being me, I said, Jake, hey, would you mind cutting me a set, of those parts also for a price? And he said, sure. So I got a set of those and set about building my version, my hybrid version of the Grizzly Flats Frontierland Depot. And when all was said and done, all I think I used from the original kit. It's got laser cut shingles. All the walls are laser cut. There's a full interior that I scratch built. I think the only thing that I used from the kit were the white metal castings of the trim, the corbels, and the roof brackets and stuff like that. Those are the only things I used from the original kit. And the structure does have a full interior, as I mentioned. I had one good photo of the interior of the original Grizzly Flats Depot. I've never been able to find a photo of the interior of the original Frontierland Depot. Back when the park first opened, you actually went into that depot to get on the trains. It was on the other side of the tracks. When they built New Orleans Square, they flipped it around 180 degrees and moved it over to the other side of the track, so it's just kind of a set piece now. But originally you could go through it. But I have never been able to find a photo of what the interior of that Frontierland station looked like back then. If anyone out there has one, please contact me. I would love to see what the interior of that depot looked like back in the day. There's some flickering LEDs on the outside to give it that, Frontierland flickering kerosene lamp look. And on the inside, I wired up some just regular warm white and yellow LEDs to illuminate the interior. There is a station agent, a telegraph operator, which was also given to me by Jake Johnson. Thank you very much. From Aspen Models. And he sits in there behind the desk. And there's a push button down on the layout fascia that plays a telegraph message. A lot of people think it's the telegraph message from Frontierland. Actually, it's not. It's a generic telegraph message that I found online. It's on a module from ITT Products. Eventually, I want to get with Jim Wells from Panasonic Engineering. We're going to completely redo the soundtrack for all of Thunder Mesa and throw in the actual, which I have an MP3 of, the actual recording of the Frontierland telegraph, which, as a lot of Disney history nerds will tell you, is a version of Walt's opening day speech. To all who come to this happy place, welcome. lot of fun details here on the platform too. I really enjoyed detailing all of this. Some barrels here from Bar Mills. Got a couple of cases of Puerto Borracho tequila, courtesy of my friend Gary Beatty. One of the cases is actually missing. The bandits stole it. They have it over here, and several of the bottles have already been emptied, which might explain their rowdiness. You have a flickering LED lantern up here on top of the barrel, drilled straight down through the barrel, so the wires can go down underneath the layout. I have a potbelly stove here, ready to be shipped out, and I believe this one was from Berkshire Valley Models. The crate around it was scratch built. This guy here, who doesn't know what's quite what's going on, he's trying to figure out where these things are being shipped to. He's from Woodland Scenics, repainted. Got some characters here from Knuckle Duster Miniatures. These figures right here were painted by Vern Niner. I believe they come from Aspen Models. Got a broom, mailbag, a baggage cart over here, also from Berkshire Valley Models. Little placard here that advertises the hot lunch across the street at the Panhandle Cafe for the passengers coming into town. A scale for baggage, and various signs and things like that. Western Union telegraph sign, which is just like the one at Disneyland. This is a version of the original sign that was on the Frontierland Depot. Of course, mine says Thunder Mesa, so I added that up there, and the train order board right there, which lists the departure and arrival times from all the different stops on the Thunder Mesa line. Oh, and I almost forgot. The doormats, which are made out of some 800 grit sandpaper. Makes really nice doormats. The platform itself is made out of wooden coffee stir sticks, and the roof still comes right off, and you can see all the electronics in there for the lighting and the different LEDs. I used an Atlas connector out of my scrap box to wire up all the lighting, so I can actually turn them off and on individually if I want to. After the depot was finished, I also built these privies over here, which are said to be the nicest ones in town, and they are built to match the architecture and coloring of the depot. Some differences between this and the Frontierland New Orleans Square Depot is that the Frontierland Depot actually has a bay window on each side, on the track side and the street side. You can't see it right now at the park, but if you could get around the back of there, you would see that it also has a bay window on the other side. The Frontierland Depot has a door on each end. It actually has some covered waiting areas that were added later on each side. Obviously, I didn't build those, but I did add a door on this side. The original Grizzly Flats Depot only had windows on each side, so I put a door on one side and a window on the other side. There are no great photos that exist of the back of the Grizzly Flats Depot. So Jake and I think we just kind of guessed and give it our best guesstimate of where doors and windows might be placed. There is a door on the back and some stairs going up to the town level up above. So like I said, it's kind of a hybrid between the Frontierland version and the Grizzly Flats version. Also, the gingerbread on the roof up here, this trim is much closer to what you'll see at Frontierland rather than what you'd see on the Grizzly Flats Depot. The shingles on the roof are all laser cut cedar, which replaced the uncut cedar that came in the kit. But why is it my favorite? Why is it the one structure that I would grab and run out the door with if, God forbid, the building was on fire? Several reasons, mostly having to do with people, I think. One, the original kit was a gift from a friend, and I really appreciate that. Second was the collaboration on the laser cut parts with Jake Johnson, and that actually led to us starting Crescent Creek Models. That original collaboration grew into, hey, let's do Walt's Barn. Hey, let's do this and that and the other thing. So that grew into Crescent Creek Models, which was a really important and fun chapter of my life. I'm very pleased with the way the model came out. I think it holds up over time. I think the modeling holds up. It still looks good inside and out. I'm very happy with it. I look at it and there's very little or nothing that I would change if I were to do it again. And I think the final reason is nostalgia. Nostalgia for Ward Kimball's old Grizzly Flats Railroad, his backyard railroad, and nostalgia for the Disneyland that I grew up with, and that was the Frontierland station. And when you heard that telegraph going, you knew you were in Frontierland. On a sadder note, the original Grizzly Flats Depot no longer exists. Unfortunately, it burned to the ground a few years ago. It was purchased by John Lasseter along with, I think, the water tower and some other things from the Grizzly Flats, and moved up to his place in Napa, the Lasseter Winery. And when the fires swept through that area, it unfortunately burned it to the ground. It may be rebuilt. I don't know. It might be being rebuilt as we speak. It might have already been rebuilt. I haven't been able to ascertain that. If you do know any news about the old Grizzly Flats Depot, I'd appreciate hearing about that too. Until then, I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the Thunder Mesa Depot. It was fun for me to look back on that project. It really was. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell to see more from Thunder Mesa Studio. You can also follow us on Instagram at thunder.mesa and see everything that's new on the Thunder Mesa Studio website at thundermesa.studio. And if you really enjoy what we're doing here at the channel and would like to show your support, you can do what these great folks did and head on over to patreon.com/thundermesa and show your support there. Until next time, keep moving forward, my friends. Adios for now.